Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Well, guys, I'm delighted. This is our inaugural episode of Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. I can't think of anybody that I would rather have on this first one than Greg Johnson. So Greg Johnson is one of those people where if there is a group of people that know him and they're all talking, he's coming up and people are going to be, I love Greg. Oh my gosh, Greg's the best. And you guys get to meet him here. So welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild, Greg. I'm really glad you're here, in case you couldn't tell. Would you please just introduce yourself and tell me your superpower? I didn't prepare you for that one, but I bet you know.
Oh, well, thank you, Sue. Thank you for the kind intro. I'm really excited to be here as well. I love what you are doing. If I had a superpower, I think my greatest superpower is probably invisibility.
Ooh.
So I had the ability to just completely turn invisible I'm kidding.
Wait, tell me.
So real superpower. I think I have the ability to kind of to distill and combine a lot of information in unexpected ways. So I can take in a lot of information from different places and make surprising connections, I call it, and then kind of create something new out of that.
Yeah, can confirm. That's a pretty good one. I like it. Cool. I don't know what the costume would look like for that one.
I don't know.
You get a cape, hat. I don't know, but I like it. That's cool. Well, let's dive in. I'm like dying to have. I want to hear everything. Why don't you tell a little bit about your business? Like, what problems are you solving, and who do you work with?
Absolutely. So, in the past, I have done a whole lot of things, and I'm in the process of drastically streamlining my focus. So my focus right now, I love working with and coaching other entrepreneurs. And most of the people that I work with are e-commerce entrepreneurs, but not exclusively. So I love to help people to understand what their own story is so that we can get that in front of their ideal customers, make that connection, and help them to get traction and growth. And I'd say I'm pretty well versed in all things digital marketing, understanding how people can get traffic into the thing they're doing, how they can build relationships with those people and ultimately drive sales conversions. So I do that primarily through one-on-one and group coaching. And I also have a weekly newsletter, which I know that you know about, called Email Magic. And that is where I just download my brain once or twice a week and try to help people through the written word. My wife and I still currently operate some e-commerce stuff. That is on the back burner right now, but honestly still generates a lot of our revenue. And that is kind of the skill set that I come working from. And I've done a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm going to leave out, because I heard it said once that when people know that you can do something well, then oftentimes they'll ask you to do it.
That's true.
And there are some things that I've done in the past and do them well, but I don't want to do them anymore. And so that has been clipped from the story.
That's really smart. Otherwise, you could end up like building scientific instruments. Oh, I said it. Oh no! Do not call Greg for this. I will find you.
I don't even know what a mass spectrometer is, Sue.
It sounds like something that ought to be like, attached to a flux capacitor or something.
Exactly.
We're also mutual admirers of Battlestar Galactica, the new one.
It's true.
Yeah. Did you watch the old one?
I watched the old one as a kid.
Yeah.
And then, the new one sucked my wife and I in years ago when it was first syndicated onto Netflix. We lost days. You know how sometimes you hear people like getting abducted by UFOs and they lost time?
You got abducted by Cylons.
That's what happened with Battlestar Galactica. Yes.
Same. It's wild. All right. So you're in this process of like shifting things. I worked with you. You've been my coach. I know many people you've been the coach for. Email magic is spectacular. Tell me the latest thing though.
Yeah. So I've decided to really focus on that weekly newsletter, building it as a self-contained business. So there are newsletters that function as businesses. They're basically media entities. And previously I was approaching this more from like an email marketing perspective, like create an audience of people and then create things to sell them, right? And that is very effective, and that's kind of part of what I'm doing. But just this realization that people who create a specific audience with a specific interest, that you can simply monetize the fact that you have their attention, right? You can do sponsorships, all kinds of things inside of that world. And just having my eyes opened, we were both at the last capitalism conference in 2022, and there were multiple people there who had built, multi-million-dollar businesses on the back of this idea of a newsletter. And so because I consider writing one of my strengths and one of the things that I enjoy doing, I just wanted to reimagine how I was, kind of instead of a hobby or side hustle, I realized that I could apply a little bit more focus on this and turn it into a significant portion of what I do on a weekly basis, but also a significant portion of the revenue that I take in.
Yeah, that's it. So I think we're both huge. So I call Sam Parr my newsletter crush. Like it was a thrill to get to meet him, guys.
Mm-hmm.
From The Hustle, in case you hadn't seen that. How much did he sell that for? Like $30 million.
$30 million.
Amazing. And you and I have talked some. Yes, we're on video right now, but our jam is the writing. So this is really cool. So how's that going? Are you enjoying it? And
yeah, it's going well. So I've been kind of learning the ropes on this platform that I'm using called Beehive, which is great because it has a lot of the tools that you need for growth and monetization all built into the same platform. So it's not something I've used before, and there's a lot of moving parts inside that I was familiarizing myself with. So I've been using that pretty heavily for the last month. And interestingly, I didn't just upload my existing email list to the platform. I have my existing email list in another platform, and I've been slowly incentivizing and encouraging people to subscribe on their own to the new platform, because I wanted to maximize the engagement on the new platform with the people I was sending. I didn't want to confuse anybody. And I've also been about half of the people on my list on the new platform are brand new.
What?
Wow. So the growth tools that I'm using are also working well. And I really wanted to spend a little bit of time making sure I understood all the buttons and levers in this new platform. But at the end of the month, I'm basically moving the rest of the list over with or without their consent. And then if they want to unsubscribe later, they can. And then I'm going to crank the dial on the growth and monetization tools, because I would, what I want to document is the process of building a newsletter as a business up to something like $10,000 a month in consistent revenue. Because I know that number is significant for a lot of people. For a lot of people, that represents freedom.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to document that and then be able to share that back with anybody who is watching or listening.
That's really, really cool, man. Now, so what kinds of businesses, like who's this thing a fit for? I mean, can we say it? We can say it, right? It's Beehive.
Yeah, so the platform is called Beehive, Beehiiv. Sue, if you have an affiliate link, you should share it in the comments to this podcast or whatever. But if you don't, I've got one.
I know you do, man. I've been sending people your way. That's
right on.
So cool.
So no, it's really great. So this platform, just to touch on it briefly, it's created by some of the guys who helped build The Morning Brew, which is another very, very successful multi-million dollar newsletter. And they internally built a bunch of the growth tools in Morning Brew that they're now using to build this platform that they call Beehive. So if you want a platform that's purpose built for a newsletter with growth and monetization tools built in, then this makes a lot of sense.
Definitely. And are you finding now, I mean, maybe it's the red car syndrome, right? But it seems like I open my inbox and now like every other newsletter that I get is Beehive. So
there are a lot of them. And I actually created a new Google email address that I'm using to subscribe to all the newsletters that I'm coming across that are loosely associated with my market, because I want to see what other people are doing, but I also want to network with these people.
Yeah.
And so I've made a few connections with other people, in parallel spaces who I really admire what they're doing. I'm sending them referrals and they're sending some back. So that's part of the growth engine. It's a platform that has some opportunities for collaboration built in, which I love, because I hate that solopreneur feeling where you feel like you're building in a silo or just in isolation and it's you against the world. I hate that. Yeah. And as much as we can build community around us, not only the community of the people who we're serving, but the community of other people who are in service to our customers or their customers, that it feels so good to be working alongside other entrepreneurs who want to create something impactful.
I love that. And my favorite kind of capitalism is collaborative, right?
Yes.
We're helping each other. And this is great because we're not only just helping other creators, but helping the people that we're all serving. It's like, like so many of the people that we're serving in these audiences need more than one thing, and we can help them with that. And this is a beautiful thing. I love that it's all built in. So we're kind of on this journey. I'm psyched. You're the Papa Bee. Teach us all. Right? So I want to know too, how, I know your family goes camping a bit. What's your outdoor? How do you outside?
Yes. Great question. So my family has loved going camping forever. We have a trailer and we have a giant van that fits our kids and we can pull the trailer in it. And we used to go, so we live outside of Denver, and we used to go camping in the mountains a couple times a year and maybe do one big road trip, take a week or two. So that has been my family's kind of recreation activity for as long as my wife and I have been married. And I used to, it's funny, I tell people it's not a vacation, it's a trip.
Yeah.
Road trips with the family, it's different than flying to Cabo, with your bestie or your significant other. But I've come to, I have a deeper love and appreciation for it now than maybe I did early on. And I've recently come to have more of an appreciation for just the experience of the outdoors. And so honestly, it's more difficult to find a spot. Camping in the Rocky Mountains outside of Denver it's crowded. There's a lot, somebody spread the word, and there's a lot of people trying to get their little slice of paradise every weekend all summer long. So we have been scoping out places closer to town where we can just have a really fun family hike, maybe a picnic, something like that. Just take a day on the weekend and get outside and be moving around in nature. And I would not have believed how much of a difference that makes just in my own mood and energy for days afterwards, but also how that impacts my children's behavior, their interactions with us and with each other.
Really?
Because we've done the whole, in the winter, we kind of get stuck inside and there's too much screen time and there's more fighting, and it's a weird dynamic how much that changes when we're actively engaged outside in something. So
That's
we
fascinating.
Deeply value that. And I have more value and appreciation for that just maybe in the last 2 years than I recognized before.
That's really something. Now, do they gripe about going? I mean, some kids are just like, whatever you could say, we're going to go to Disney, and they're like, oh, maybe it doesn't matter what it is. Oh, do they?
They honestly don't. They mostly love it. Like, we'll get a little bit of pushback now and then, but I mean, we don't have anybody like flat out refusing to go. They've grown up with going hiking, going camping, and honestly, they all love it. That's and so which is great, because the electronic distractions that exist are never ending. And so it's nice that we can kind of divert and do this other activity that they're actually all excited to engage in.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Do you have anything that you do, like just you, like on, in between these hikes, like, do you get outside much? I try to make myself do so, because just in the last couple of years, I've recognized the value in doing so. So starting in 2020, I pretty much worked from home for 2 years, and was losing my mind, because it was really hard to draw a line between home time, family time, work time. Like, it just all blended together. And I was just always like anxious, always feeling like no matter what I was doing, I should actually be doing this other thing. It was awful. I had a really hard time getting anything done. So at the beginning of 2022, I went and got this office space that I'm in now, which is near my house, but it's separate. It's like, it's a little bit weird to me that I'm paying to occupy this, like, monthly lease to be here, but it literally pays for itself. I am so much more effective here than if I'm trying to work in the home office and able to hear what else is going on, and then like feeling like I should be engaged in that, but not being able to. But the problem between all of that is that I was either inside there or inside here. And man, this last winter especially, like, I feel like our winter was really long last year. And by about March, I was ready to just, like, I was losing my mind. Like, it was just dark and gray all the time and cold. I didn't want to go outside. And so I didn't, but noticeable effect on my mood. And like, when you are your own boss and you've got to be clicking buttons and punching keys, and you are setting the agenda, you are setting the to-do list, it can be really hard to stay on track and really discouraging. Like, when you're just working in isolation, and it's really easy to just open up Facebook or Instagram and turn your brain off for 30 minutes, right? But then that 30 minutes can become 90 minutes, and then you start like not getting stuff done that you need to get done. And so there was a period of time where I was really, really struggling figuring out how to like motivate myself to get done what I needed to do. Cause it was almost like this, like minor depression setting in. Right. And I don't want to like blame the weather. Like, I don't quite know what that was about, but then it's, like, okay, what supplement do I need to cure this? Right. And I'm trying this thing and that thing, and like, it didn't quite work. And then just knowing you and what you're working on, and kind of, the biohacker people that I follow, I just saw more and more, evidence and research that human beings require sunshine. Human beings require touching the ground with your feet and breathing clean air and all this kind of thing. And I started to put more priority on that. And so, I'll try to like walk around the yard barefoot once a day. It's a little more challenging now because we have a 5-month-old puppy. So I have to watch where you step.
Watch my step a little bit more. But just making sure, if I can, I drop my kids off at school and then come to work. And depending on how that timing works, if I can just spend a little time walking around outside, like walk up to the local coffee shop and get a cup of coffee and walk back and just get like 10 minutes of sunshine, pre 10 a.m., makes a huge difference. And so I am trying to schedule some of this outside time every single day into my daily routine, because I see like I can, it's like a measurable difference in my ability to get work done that day. And so like that is as important as my supplement stack or getting good sleep. And honestly, I haven't realized that until maybe the last 12 months and been actively working to integrate that kind of stuff in, now that I recognize that sunlight is a nutrient, right?
Yeah.
Touching the ground with your feet is a supplement, and just prioritizing that kind of thing in my day.
That's amazing. Were there any, mental hurdles or like things that you're like, when we're starting a new habit, of course, it's very easy, just as easy to not do the thing as to do the thing. Did you have to kind of overcome any of that? Or?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And even now, if the weather's particularly bad, then it's, I haven't, we're coming into cooler weather here. So I haven't had to really, since having this kind of mindset transition, I haven't had to force myself outside, with a foot of snow. And so we'll see what that looks like. But again, when you are doing this thing consistently and you're feeling the difference, then that momentum helps you to maintain that habit. But getting started is always the hurdle. And I think it comes down to, like, when you first get going, you are kind of leaning on willpower. But when you have momentum, it's like you don't require active willpower anymore, right? Which is great.
Yeah.
So it was just reminding myself, like, look, this is how I'm going to get my stuff done. This is one of the things I must do. Yeah. And just making sure that is on the list and that you check it off.
Brilliant. I mean, and it takes some of that, the mental gymnastics at first, because it sounds so counterintuitive. I've got this to-do list this long. Oh, so because of that, I'm going outside. It's like, what? Right. That's really awesome. So I kind of get the feeling like when I go outside, I feel kind of like, in fifth grade where you have recess and they let you out and you're like, wah! You're running,
Yes.
Kind of picture, So when you've been outside, have you ever had an experience where it's like you get this brilliant idea that you would never have gotten if you were just sitting at your desk?
All the time, when I give myself the space to do that. So one of the things that I did a better job of last summer that didn't do this summer is walking the dog at lunch. Mm-hmm. And no headphones. I mean, no agenda. I'm just walking outside and just letting my mind wander. And I think the combination of those two things, like being outside and just having the sun and the air and allowing your mind to wander, like that is where that is where great ideas come from often for me. And so then the challenge is holding the leash in one hand and then trying to like make a note on my phone with the other and then put the thing back away because I want, my brain to wander again. It's amazing. If you allow yourself to, if you kind of like turn off this, drive, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. If you can turn that off just momentarily, and I think it's easier to do outside. Like if I'm standing in my office with my screen in front of me and work in front of me, I can't turn that off. There's too much here pulling me back into that. And so I think part of the magic about being outside is that you have to leave all that behind. And that allows you that space, that mind wandering space where good ideas can come in.
I agree. I think, and that you're right. The only problem that's left at that point is how am I going to capture these things without, especially with walking a dog. That kind of, I'm picturing you and Trevor Blake walking together. That's how I stumbled onto this. Had you read 3 Simple Steps also? Yes.
Now, when I became aware with him and his book and everything, I remember listening to that and just kind of poo-pooing it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to do that. I don't have woods to walk in. I'm not going to take the time to walk for 2 hours a day. But that idea, I think that was 2020 when I first heard that. Mm-hmm. That idea has been sitting with me. Like the knowing that that's how that guy operates has been sitting with me for years. Yeah. And as I've gotten closer, like having more of an appreciation for what he was talking about, I'm like, okay, now I understand. I'm still not going on a walk for 2 to 4 hours a day, but now I wish that would be great. I should work towards having that be my routine. I see the value.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, and I was the same thing. I was like, oh, come on, who has the time for that? It was kind of required reading for me. I'm like, fine, I'll try it. You know, next thing you know, like, building a whole retreat center.
Exactly.
It's crazy. And that 2 hours a day, like that sounds, before you're doing it, it sounds like that's insane. Who could do that? Oh, well, he's got millions of dollars. Well, he didn't, you know, and it was like, not at first. This is how he got from here to there. And,
right.
You know, now you get to that point where like, ooh, 2 hours outside. That sounds decadent. I love it. You know?
Exactly.
That's wild. That's wild. Any specific ideas? Like, you know, has this, I want you to say that this has been like the linchpin starting your whole new business, right? Has there been anything in particular that you can point to and go, I got that idea outside?
Oh, well, what I can tell you is that I get all my best ideas for my content like this.
Yeah.
So it helps me to kind of get out of my own head. It helps me. I mentioned my superpower before, that ability to rearrange ideas and then create something new out of them. Mm-hmm. That only works when my brain has space to do that. And so, yeah, you've read my emails for a while, like all the best ones, the idea, like the genesis of what that was going to be about and the story I wanted to tell, like that's how all those came about. And then I also have, sometimes I have like really good tactical ideas. Oh my gosh, what if we did a campaign like this? What if we did this and to that and that? Like I had a really successful, campaign for one of the e-commerce things earlier this year, and the pieces of that all came together during one of those times, like thinking about, this is how I can take these puzzle pieces and arrange them in this different way. I wonder if that would work better, and it did. So absolutely, yeah, I've had some really, really good ideas from this.
That's so great. It's so great. I mean, it's like a magical thing that happens, you know. There's just nothing else distracting you. And now, does it work for you if you're with other people also? Do you still get ideas, or you?
Usually not. I mean, if I'm with other people, I'm kind of, you know, present with them, or I try to be.
Yeah.
So that idea generation is more if I'm by myself. But even if I'm with other people, the ability to connect with them, I think, is deeper, right? When you're not surrounded by all these potential distractions. So there's still value in that. It's just a different thing.
Yeah. I agree. I think, yeah, it's definitely like, you know, it's kind of like if you have a conversation you need to have with your kids, or if they, you know, enter the eye rolling phase of teenage. It's like if you're riding in a car and you're next to each other, you know, it's better. You have something else you're looking at. You're not looking right at each other. They're not so threatened, all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I think outdoors does that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool. Man, I love it. So what drives you in life?
What drives me? I'm not going to lie. I have ambition. I want to create meaningful impact for other people. That is what, like, when I can work with somebody and see that interaction yield a tangible, fruitful result for them down the road, that is the most rewarding thing that I can imagine. And I would also like to be paid handsomely for that. So I want to provide or create the best life for myself and my family. And I wouldn't say I'm not like deeply motivated by money or like material things, but I really like the idea of all the experiences, all of the opportunities that really, really just exemplary financial success lead to. So there are a lot of fun things that I would like to do that I see kind of along that path. And so, you know, that's what motivates me.
That's really cool. All right. Dream outdoor adventure. What would you love to do?
Oh my goodness. This is really hard because I follow some like influencer Instagram travel people.
Ooh, yeah.
And so I know some of the amazing places that exist in this world. I kind of want to see all of them.
Yeah.
You know, I would have to say it would be difficult for me to choose between kind of this pristine mountain cabin kind of thing. I mean, we spend a lot of time in the mountains. I love the mountains, just the whole environment of that place. But I also have a deep love for the ocean. And so what we lack in Denver is easy access to the ocean, but both warm weather and cold weather. So, you know, I've been many times to kind of the northern Pacific coast, Northern California, Oregon, Washington. I love that. But I also love a warm beach, warm sandy beach, warm water. I mean, it's difficult to beat the ocean and the mountains. Real difficult.
Is there anywhere else in the world, actually? Right.
Right.
That's awesome, man. And there's something with the ocean, like with those ions. I don't know. There's just the air does something. That's amazing. But yeah, up in the leaves in the mountains, and you're about to hit into fall colors out in Colorado. So man,
exactly,
it's gorgeous. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's awesome. All right. I was going to ask you also, where can people go to learn more about what you're doing, and like who would be somebody that if they're watching this and they're like, oh my gosh, Greg is the answer to my prayers. This is fantastic. Where should they go to find you, and what will they find?
I would tell them to go to emailmagic.com. They can sign up for actually, I don't even know what's at that address right now. I'm switching everything over right now. They could also go to emailmagic.beehive.com, and Beehive is BEEHIIV. That's what's ultimately going to be at that page. I think at emailmagic.com, I just have a opt-in leading to my list, but that's just fine. On the main page, people can see examples of the kinds of things I write. I have a bunch of posts published on the website so they can go and take a look if they're reluctant to sign up first. I have some of my newsletter and coaching call reviews from people posted as well. So if you want to see if other people get any value from what I do have some kind words up there from some of the folks I've worked with.
On the wall of love.
The wall of love.
I love the wall of love. Yeah, and I'll vouch. I mean, can confirm. Greg Johnson, real deal. There's just, this is. Yeah,
so I would say, hopping on the email list and, stick around for a couple of weeks. And if you don't like it, you can bounce back out. But most people stay. Most people stay.
That's great. It's fantastic place. You guys will learn, and you're just going to enjoy his writing. It's like a delight to like, oh yay, it's Tuesday, or wait, oh, now you've moved to Wednesday. So now it's like, oh, it's Wednesday. This is exciting. It's a Greg email. I mean, you can't help but love it. So
thank you.
It's fantastic. Any parting words?
Only thanks for having me. I really appreciate what you are doing with your podcast, newsletter, and Idlewild Woods. I think that people need to rediscover that we need nature. You need sunshine. You need to touch the earth with your feet. And if you think I'm crazy, try it for 2 weeks and then come back.
Exactly. You still might be crazy, but you're still right.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. Well, we're going to take our shoes off and go hit outside.
Let's do it.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sue.